Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guest today has helped investors acquire and invest in more than 1,200 apartment units, over 500 storage units, and more than $15 million in funds focused on mobile home parks and storage. Alina Trigub is the founder and managing partner of Samo Financial. Alina, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Hi, Seth. Hi, everyone. Seth, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited about today's interview.
Yeah, pleasure is all mine. So to kick things off, tell us about your real estate goals right now.
Sure. My real estate goals are always expanding. I'm all about learning new things, learning on my own, learning with partners, learning through various channels that we have. Up to this day, myself and my investors have been investing in 3 commercial real estate assets through syndications, which are multifamily, storages, and mobile home parks. And I'm always looking for ways to diversify and bring more value to my investors. So my next step is to dig deep into the next commercial asset class, which is assisted living facilities, which I'm in the process of doing. So I'm researching and learning about this asset class to see whether that's another asset that we can potentially add to my investors and my own portfolio.
Yeah, and for yourself, do you set a goal or a target every year saying, I want to raise this much money and place it into so many deals? So how do you think about your annual goals?
So I try to go with shorter term goals. It helps me to stay focused, and it helps me to achieve them a lot faster. So for instance, I know I've set for this specific goal, I set a shorter term duration. In this case, it's 6 months. So I want to learn and be able to acquire assisted living facilities starting in about 6 months from the beginning of this year. And after that, I'll have other goals. I mean, and it's not like, I go from one point to another without anything else. There are other things that pop up throughout this process that either I want to learn or expand or add to my portfolio, and other ways that I partner up with people or learn about other aspects of real estate investing. So it's constantly evolving. But in general, I try to set goals that are 3 to 6 month duration.
Yeah. And what prompted you to explore the assisted living? Was it the increased cash flow because everything else is getting compressed, or what pushed you over that way?
Sure. So a couple of things. Number one, all of the investments that we have made to this day have been outside of the tri-state area where I live. So I live in New Jersey. So all of the assets, unfortunately, or fortunately, are not in any market that's here. So I would like to start investing locally, and I would like to make some offerings in the local market, because I do have some audience of investors that would prefer to stay local. It's their comfort level. So that's number one. Number two, there are so many adults that are aging, and while I see the trend of people moving down south to Florida and Carolinas, there is still a significant number of senior citizens that are staying locally because they want to be close to their kids, and vice versa. Kids want their parents to be close by. And that's why I believe that assisted living would be one of those asset classes that can accommodate that aging senior population.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things I've been looking at. And well, I'm still evaluating this asset class and still looking at the statistics locally. Potentially, I think I see tremendous benefit. And again, if not locally, then we'll go somewhere close by, maybe Pennsylvania or Connecticut or, nearby states. But hopefully we'll be able to find something within driving distance as opposed to flying distance.
Yeah. And, we've had on this show a lot of multifamily investors, shopping centers, but we've only had a few people investing in the assisted living. So what are some of the differences that you've found so far between your typical multifamily or other commercial asset and assisted living?
Sure. So with multifamily, In terms of investors, I would say majority of investors are interested in multifamily, and I think I can understand why. It's very relatable. I would say majority of people at one point or another lived in an apartment building, so they can relate to what it's like buying or living in a multifamily. That's why when you tell someone, oh, we're going to buy apartment buildings where regular folks like you and me live, people more or less understand what it comes down to and what are the pros and cons of such living in such asset in general. When it comes to assisted living, while you tell someone, oh, it's where senior people live, majority of people, the first thing that comes to their mind is either a hospice or the rehab center where people go after the surgery. So something not necessarily that has negative connotation, but something that associated with aging or being ill or being in need of assistance or medical service and so forth, where the types of facilities that I am specifically researching are places where regular senior citizens live, and these folks may require either very limited medical assistance or no medical assistance whatsoever. The reason why they decide to live in such places is simply because they would like to have some camaraderie, some friends and neighbors to talk to. It's just usually when people age and one of the spouses dies, the other one stays alone, and they don't want to stay alone, so they're looking for a neighbor or someone to talk to. So they moved into these houses where they can talk to other people, maybe play some games together and hang out and even have parties and continue their normal day-to-day life. It's a lot more fun to have a person right next to you that you can talk to when you want to, and when you don't, you just go to your room and close the door. So those are some of the major differences that I've been seeing so far.
Yeah, and one of the good things is, we're all going to get old at some point.
Exactly, exactly. You cannot avoid that. No chip, nothing, no technology can help us avoid getting older. So you're absolutely right, Seth.
So far, you've placed a lot of investor money in all these deals. What are some routines or rituals that you have, maybe daily or weekly, that helps keep you focused?
Sure. So I'm one of those people that likes motivational type of books. So at some point in my life, I read Miracle Morning, which was a few years ago, and it made a huge impact on me. And while I don't follow that routine exactly, I kind of modified it to my liking and to what my interests are. So every morning I do some exercising, I take a cold shower, then I do meditation, and I set my goals for the week, and then I continuously review them to see if I'm meeting those goals. And that's, to your earlier question in terms of the goals, when I set those goals that are either 3 to 6 months duration, I try to reassess them every week and to see how am I progressing, am I taking the right steps towards achieving those goals. So doing this every day definitely helps me move forward towards achieving them.
Yeah. And how long have you been doing that Miracle Morning?
I would say roughly about a year.
A year? And have you noticed a big difference between before and now?
Yeah. I feel like I'm a lot more focused, a lot more organized, and I feel like I'm able to achieve a lot more, and I'm happy. I feel like I'm a happy person because it's very common for human nature to feel upset or frustrated or tired when you think, oh, the whole day passed by and I wasn't able to achieve anything. When you set your goals, when you get up early in the morning fresh, do your exercise, do whatever routine you have, and you go forward with your day, number one, you're a much happier person. Number two, you know what you need to achieve. And number three, when you achieve that, you feel even happier, and that helps you get motivated for the rest of the week.
Yeah, for sure. So out of all the deals that you've done so far, is there one that stands out as a keystone deal?
When you say keystone, you mean in terms of financial reward?
Yeah, well, just a deal that's made a big impact on you and your business, whether for good or for bad.
Sure. So the very first deal which my husband and I purchased was a single family property, and it was done about 8, 9 years ago, so a while back when I still didn't know much about investing, did make a big impact on us. And the impact wasn't so much positive. I mean, it started out as a negative impact. We bought the property, we placed the tenant, and it started out okay at the beginning, but then we had to change the tenant, and then another tenant, and another, and there were repairs that were following, and then at some point there were potential allegations from the tenant that were following, and then we had some period in between tenants where no one was living in a place, and someone decided to use it for free, so forth, and they then decided to borrow our copper pipes for good.
Oh.
So that was a fun exercise when we came into a property, thinking that we're gonna rent it out to the new tenant, and just learned that there were no pipes. So all of the copper pipes were stolen. So that was an experience. And then the last tenant we placed before selling the property ended up not paying for several months, so we had to evict them. So yeah, the experience was fantastic, to say the least. But again, it was an experience. It gave us some background and foundation, and we knew that we had to learn a lot more about the business. And it was more or less a step back for me personally, because after that I couldn't bring myself back to start thinking or learning about real estate for a few years. But about 6 or 6.5 years ago, I went back to real estate and started learning. And when I finally did the learning component and educated myself and started investing after that, it was completely different story. So the outcome, before you do anything at all, real estate related or any sort of investment related, you have to take the time, you have to educate yourself, you have to understand what you're doing, because otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. And did that experience with, the copper pipes and all that, did that prompt you to start exploring, the larger deals where you have professional management? Was that a big factor?
Yeah, no, so that's a very good point, because when I got back into real estate 6.5 years ago, I started researching. I almost immediately went into researching multifamily properties. I didn't even look at the single family properties. I mean, the economy of scale and the mere fact that instead of like buying 6 houses, if I were to buy 6 doors and have only one closing, use only one attorney, and replace only one roof for all 6 doors as opposed to 6 roofs for 6 houses, made such a huge impact and such a big difference in my mind that I immediately went and looked into investing in multifamilies as opposed to single family houses.
Yeah, and maybe for somebody out there right now who's invested in single family homes, what sort of differences are there between doing that single family and investing in a larger multifamily?
Sure. And one thing I want to point out, while for me it makes a lot more sense to invest in multifamily, it's not black and white in general. Some people, and I know quite a few, that are to this day investing in single families, and it makes sense for them. They like it, they enjoy it, and it's good for them. So it's not like an exact science where 2 + 2 always equals 4. It's whatever makes sense for you, whatever works best for you in your particular case. But in my case, my preference is given to multifamilies, again, from economy of scale perspective. If I were to buy a large property or to syndicate, I'd rather buy a property that has multiple doors in one place. So it means hiring one attorney, hiring one property management team to manage the building, replacing, as I said, one large roof as opposed to multiple roofs for each house, and doing maintenance in one single building, where if I were to hire the maintenance person, they would be going from apartment to apartment within the same complex, as opposed to walking from one house to another, which may be half a mile away from one another, or maybe 5 miles away from one another. So to me, it makes a big difference and a huge economic and saving factor when it comes to comparing whether to invest in single family or multifamily.
Yeah. And did you start off investing in those larger deals as a limited partner, or did you jump right in as a general partner?
Yeah, good question. So I started out as a limited partner. I came across the world of syndications by accident while researching real estate in general. So I came across Bigger Pockets first, and that's where I learned about syndications. And I was doing my research, and then this topic comes up, and I'm like, wow, you can invest in large apartment complexes without having to manage it all. So to me, that meant that I can continue working my full-time job, continue with my day-to-day, operations, and continue everything that I've been doing up to this day, and someone else will be doing all of the work for me. So it sounded like a great idea. I did put a lot of effort into researching what syndication entail, and then researching the deal sponsors, and then researching the markets and the deal offerings that were presented to me. And it took a lot of effort, but I decided to take action and invest in the deal without seeing the deal sponsor, the deal itself, or anything in person. I mean, obviously we have access to the internet, and I went on Google Earth to look at the property. I spoke with the deal sponsor several times, checked all the references, did the homework in that aspect, but I haven't flew over to the property to see it live. So yeah, it was a big step, but I'm very, very happy that I took that step, because after that followed another, and then another, and another, and then finally, about year and a half ago, I realized that I'm making pretty good money passively, and a lot of people have never even heard such word syndication. So out of that, an idea was born. I decided that I should spread the word about syndications and share it with a lot of other folks that would be able to do what I'm doing, because my main goal was, number one, to diversify out of Wall Street, because everything is in Wall Street. Whether it's a 401k or your IRA or any type of account, everything is in stock, bonds, and mutual funds. And number two, I was looking for a way to save on taxes. And by investing in syndications, you are becoming almost like a partial property owner. And while your savings are all passive, you can still net a lot of this savings, a lot of these deductions against your passive income, without going into the details on taxes. It's one of the strategies that's not available when you invest in the stock market or when you invest in REIT, which is real estate investment trust. It looks like a real estate investment, but in reality, REIT is nothing more than a mutual fund that's concentrated solely on real estate.
Yeah, it's just a piece of paper.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all it is. And it's, it's so important for people who have the knowledge about real estate syndications to spread the word. Because, like you said, I found myself, when I'm speaking with people about these opportunities, they just don't realize they're out there.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right. A lot of people I talk to, first, I have to explain to them what syndication really means, because majority of folks never heard of it, even though it's not a top secret. But because syndications are done normally through private placement, it's not publicized anywhere. That's why it's very, very important to share it with others, because I think it's one of the better strategies out there. It's certainly a lot safer than the volatile stock market, and especially the way we saw it at the end of 2018, how it all dropped drastically.
Yeah, absolutely. So how has getting into real estate changed your life so far?
It's been fantastic. I mean, ever since I decided to start my own business, start helping other folks passively investing, it made such a huge impact on me, because I like helping people in general, and I like seeing happy faces when I know I'm helping someone else. But this impact is so much more, because I know by helping people to generate this passive income, they can save money and then use it later, either for their retirement or to put their kids through college or to go on extra vacation that they haven't thought before. So it's phenomenal what what this business has done for me in general. It's and it's continuing to make a huge impact from that respect, because I like to be among people. I like helping others. I like talking real estate in general and learning from other people, because it's constant learning. Just because I've learned so much up to this point doesn't mean that I'm a complete expert. I'm still constantly learning and exploring other things, whether they're within syndications or within other strategies.
So looking ahead 10 years from now, where do you see your business going?
I see myself helping a lot more people that I've helped to so far at this point. I will certainly add several niches within real estate, and they will not all be within syndications. They will be within other real estate aspects. I can't tell you what they will be at this point, but I know it will be something complementary, something to benefit my audience, and someone that will complement the services that I offer today.
Yeah. So Alina, if somebody's looking to get in touch with you, learn more about what you're doing, where can they find you?
Sure. They can find me through my website, which is samofinancial.com, or on Facebook or LinkedIn.
That's great. Well, Alina, I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time today and sharing your success with us.
Seth, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's really great to be here.
Yeah, pleasure was mine. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well in your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.